Right, strap yourselves in. Today is a huge Chelsea news video. What's going on, gang? Welcome on back to the channel, Football Therapy, with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, daily series here on the channel. I speak about Chelsea news. There's multiple things I want to reference today from three reputable publications. Pedro Neto apparently being Enzo Maresca's favourite from The Standard. The Athletic have wrote about Enzo Fernandez being crucial, which of course is a huge talking point of late. And Matt Law of The Telegraph has done a piece on Cole Palmer, on his imminent return, his chances to play for England, and apparently changes in the gym. My boy's getting jacked. Apparently, yeah? No time to do long introductions. Strap yourselves in. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Of course, we're getting very close to 200,000 subscribers. So thank you for subbing, hitting the bell if you subscribe, and all that good stuff. That being said, let's get into it. Off the mark, Chelsea have been nominated for some awards. At Blue Dodger on X presents the following. The Globe Soccer Awards, the Chelsea nominations are Enzo Maresca for Best Coach, Best Sporting Directors, Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley. Best Men's Player, Cole Palmer. Best Midfielder, Cole Palmer. Don't forget about Cole. Best Women's Player, Sandy Baltimore, Lucy Bronze, and Hannah Hampton. And of course, Chelsea are nominated for Best Men's and Women's Club. We'll see what happens. Of course, PSG are in there, who won the quadruple last season. I'm not entirely sure. Well, it's for 2025. We will see what happens. Chelsea have actually had a very good 2025, because that's when they clinched Champions League, won the conference, and won the Club World Cup. Not sure they're going to defeat the likes of PSG and some other European powerhouses, but who knows? Maybe we get a couple of awards in there. Right, let's hop over to Dom Smith's article on the Standard Sport and learn a little bit about Pedro Neto. Moises Caicedo, Reece James and Cole Palmer might receive the most airtime as Chelsea's biggest stars, but Pedro Neto has quietly become one of Enzo Maresca's key players. I keep saying this. Maresca will have been delighted to see Neto return to training on Monday in a welcome boost ahead of their trip to Burnley. Over the 17 months Maresca has spent in his post at Stamford Bridge, Neto has shown himself to be a reliable general, chipping in with goals and assists and switching between the left and right wings, depending on the profile of wide player operating on the opposition flank. Chelsea have a plethora of options out wide this season, including new signings Alejandro Garnacho, Jamie Gittins, and of course the young star Estevao, Academy graduate Tyreek George, and depending on how Maresca seems to play him, of course Joao Pedro and Palmer can also play on the flanks. And yet, it is Neto who the head coach places the most faith in between his wingers, trusting the Portuguese with the bulk of the game time among the outfield players. Only Neto and Joao Pedro have started all of Chelsea's 11 league games this season. I've been saying it, I've been making the case why Neto continues to start over Estevao, but I'm not entirely sure this will last. I've been saying Estevao just looks different in gravy granules. Eventually, once he's fully trusted to retain all the tactical information, once he understands the Premier League, the opposition fullbacks and wingers, and knows how to defend, and knows how to get kicked quite a lot, he will eventually be too good to not play as much as you can and start games. Of course, I need to mention Estevao. He scored yet again a penalty for Brazil yesterday. In another man of the match performance, he was superb. Brazil players have been missing penalties all over the gaff. He pulled rank as an 18-year-old, scored what can only be described as a sensational penalty. Paqueta comes on later in the game. He pulls rank, takes a penalty, and puts it in row Z. So Estevao is Brazil's best penalty taker. He's on penalties, he's on corners, he's on friggin' cloud 9. He's king of the world at the moment. And he's Chelsea. He's top, very humble and working hard. In that time, Neto has scored 3 goals, assisting twice. The last goal, of course, came in the 3-0 win against Wolves before the international break, where the 25-year-old netted against his former club, but asked to come off shortly after, of course, with that groin injury. Same groin issue saw him pull out of international duty with Portugal last week, and he instead stayed in London and on Monday made a return to Cobham for training. No bad thing for Chelsea ahead of huge games against Barcelona and Arsenal in the next 4 fortnight. Maresca is sure to turn to one of his most experienced generals in both those clashes. Maresca is not only a fan of Neto's quality out wide, or indeed as a stand-in number 9, his position of course when he scored against Wolves, but also his demeanour. He said this: he's top, he's very humble, he's working hard, he's a very important player for us, and we are very, very happy with Pedro Neto. He's exactly the same as other players. He needs to always be 100% because the moment you drop a little bit mentally or physically, in this league, it's complicated. That basically means you're going to get dropped. There's a little bit more to this article, seek it out if you're interested, but it's interesting to hear that he's been mooted as one of Enzo Maresca's favourites, but I can believe it because he's come to Chelsea. These fragility glass football player he left behind at Wolves. He seemingly was available, apart from a recent injury. He was never available for Wolves. He runs for 90 minutes. He presses for 90 minutes. He understands the instruction. He never throws his toys out of the pram. He doesn't get red cards. He's just a really, really good professional. And of course, at 25, he's not young, but he's not old. And I totally understand why Maresca is turning to him. And, long may it continue should he be contributing. And we are very lucky to have him. If you remember when we signed him, I was gassed. I was so gassed. I said Pedro Neto is the kind of player, at the time Man City were winning titles, of course, that if Man City signed him, the City fans would have been very excited about. Because that's what we were getting. This really capable, was he 23, 24 when we signed him? A player that was just so capable to dismantle top-level opposition, which included the likes of Man City and indeed Chelsea on occasions. So, we're right to be excited about Garnacho's good form. Of course, we're right to be excited about the likes of Steval, but we should not forget about Pedro because he's the boy at the moment. Right, we got to keep this train moving because there's plenty of stuff I want to cite. There's a little bit of a longer read on The Athletic from Simon Johnson regarding Enzo Fernandez. Of course, you've probably seen it, my video and since my video stuff on articles and social media. Chelsea being linked to Elliot Anderson, Real Madrid constantly sniffing around Enzo Fernandez, but me saying, I don't want us to sell him. I think he's very important. I think this article should reiterate how important he is. Simon Johnson writes the following: Enzo Fernandez has been able to take a rare rest during this international break because of a knee injury. The Chelsea midfielder certainly needed a breather. To suggest Fernandez has had a lot of football over the past 3 years is an understatement. His final season with his boy club River Plate of Buenos Aires got underway in February 2022. The Argentina international has made 221 appearances for club, also including, of course, Benfica, and current employers Chelsea and country. 221 appearances is a lot of appearances in a short amount of time. This is a player that successive Chelsea head coaches have been reluctant to be without following his £106 million move from Benfica to Chelsea in January 2023. Nobody has played more than his 131 games for the club in that time. Moises Caicedo, who's on 112, and Cucurella with 106 are his closest challengers in the current squad. Their current head coach, Enzo Maresca, has certainly lent heavily on the now 24-year-old. Fernandez has played 69 of the 81 games that Maresca's had as Chelsea manager. That's a lot, especially when we've been playing in the Conference League. He has missed just 2 of the 52 matches Chelsea have played across 6 competitions in this calendar year, and that was through injury against Wolverhampton Wanderers in January and the visit to Forest last month. Of the 4 other occasions where Fernandez did not feature, he was an unused substitute for the 3 games, so he would still have had an active role in the squad's preparation for said game. The only time Maresca left Fernandez out entirely, that was not injury related, was the second leg of the Europa Conference League quarter-final at home to Legia Warsaw 7 months ago, where Chelsea won, of course, the first leg 3-0. Fernandez was leading the way across most minutes for Chelsea this season until Caicedo's early introduction, of course, in Karabag, where Romeo Lavia came off injured and he was sort of forced to come in and play. Check out this graphic of minutes played for Chelsea players this season. Totally unsurprising to see Caicedo, Fernandez, and Cucurella top 3. The two men have more in common than just playing time. They both, of course, were record signings for Chelsea, beating the transfer record. First Enzo for 106 million, and then, of course, Caicedo for 115, since, of course, Liverpool have come along and blown those out the water with 2 new transfer records. However, while Caicedo is finally being regarded, both within Stamford Bridge and outside observers, as one of the best players in the Premier League, the level of Fernandez's contribution still divides opinion amongst Chelsea fan base. Of course, in the summer of 2020, 2024, there was all this stuff with the international teammates, the singing on the bus that Wesley Fofana came out with, and there was all that drama and uncertainty for a little while. But on the pitch, there's also been games where Fernandez has not been at his best and has looked laboured. That's true. The amount of football he's played, let alone the impact of travelling to South America to play for Argentina and back to Europe several times per year, has been a big impact on his mind and body. This is true. His form has dipped at points and he's looked leggy, lethargic, maybe the beginning of the season, but this guy's been overplayed, overcooked, and over-travelled all over the gaff, and that is still in a team, in a club in Chelsea that's probably a little bit unsettled and not the most harmonious, so it's been a real tough. I think we probably have overplayed Enzo Fernandez a little bit, but he's seemingly in form at the moment. So yes, he's been managing a knee problem, he's overseen his time at Chelsea with loads of different managers, and in a rare interview shown this week by Saudi digital platform Kura Break, Fernandez appeared to refer to these extensive comings and goings, but made it clear that the things are now positive, more positive than they've ever been. Fernandez said this: "I went through an incredible process here at the club with many changes, and well, today I feel very good with the group of people who are my teammates, from whom I share every day, with the coaching staff. The truth is that I feel very happy today." Well, that's very pleasing to hear that. I mean, yes, he's just won the Club World Cup. I always say South Americans love and respect the Club World Cup. He would have been very happy with that, as well as the Conference League and playing in the Champions League again. The vibes are up. And, you know, he's an ambitious player, so this is the kind of stuff he's looking for. How about a graphic then? The chart shows players from the current squad with the most goal involvements, goals and assists in 2025. So here you go. In 46 appearances, Enzo Fernandez has 20 goal involvements, and this is really pretty darn strong. A goal involvement nearly every other game, and that is for ostensibly a number 8. Pretty darn strong if you ask me, especially he'll be taking corners, he covers a lot of ground, he's ahead of, you know, Cole Palmer. Pedro Neto is in third, then you've got Joao Pedro. You can see the graphic. Again, there's more to this article should you want to go and read it. It's behind a paywall, but they just wanted to show you that stuff there. Highlight the fact how he's really happy now at Chelsea, which is what we want to hear. How, of course, he's come through such a turbulent and difficult time at the club, but, you know, we didn't need to read that or have him tell us. We've seen the ins and outs, the ups and downs, but he is chipping in with goals. He is chipping in with assists. He's, of course, the vice captain, but like I always say, he covers the most ground for Chelsea. The amount he presses and moves is really, really important. Though I do feel he's been overplayed at times. Hopefully, this knee injury is now sorted, and we can continue to trust Enzo Fernandez to deliver on the pitch, and maybe even see a little bit more goals and assists and get those numbers up to, 1 GA every other game. That would be an elite return for a player in his position. And Maresca has done great work with Fernandez. He's really got his numbers up, the way he gets him crashing the box and what he's demanded of him. So I'm feeling good about it. Anyway, let's move on to the final story of today's video and jump over to Matt Law's piece over on The Telegraph, speaking about Cole Palmer, a player that I've spoken about recently, trying to, remind people of his numbers, how good he is and how much we miss him. So let's see what Matt is saying on The Telegraph. Palmer is desperate to be part of Thomas Tuchel's England World Cup squad and is determined to make up for lost time with his country as he closes in on playing for Chelsea again. Chelsea star Palmer has been out since September with a groin injury and has played only once for England in just over a year, and that was the 1-0 victory over Andorra in June. While he's been out, and his best friend in football and indeed celebration partner, Morgan Rogers, has made a claim for England's number 10 shirt, and Jude Bellingham was recalled, of course, last time out, played last game with Thomas Tuchel. England do not play again until next March, by which time Palmer would have only played for his country once in almost 18 months, and Tuchel has warned that he will not be able to pick all the number 10s at his disposal. Yes, this is something I've had great concern about as an England and Chelsea fan. For some, that's put a question mark against Palmer's inclusion, but Tuchel has kept in contact with the player and Chelsea during his injury, which has maintained optimism that the 23-year-old remains very much in the plans of the England head coach. Yeah, I remember when Tuchel was appointed England manager, he was asked about Cole Palmer. I think Cole Palmer was probably playing very well at the time. I don't think he'd started work yet, but the announcement was made and he was doing some media. And he sort of said, yeah, you got to let Palmer cook, basically. You recognise how good good Cole is and the stuff he's been doing. So he knows how good Cole is. He'll be keeping a keen eye on Chelsea. You know, he'll probably think, well, it's a shame Levi can't make it. But, you know, Reece James and maybe a couple of others in there might make it. But Cole, he'll know, obviously, all about Cole. For some, the situation has put a question mark over Cole Palmer's inclusion. Stamford Bridge insiders remain insistent that they believe Palmer will go to the World Cup if he is fit, and the player's desperation to go has been made evident to those around him. He is even said to have discussed the various permutations open to Tuchel with some of his allies. Rodgers has represented a strong case to go to the World Cup, while Bellingham showed during the Euros how he can influence big games. But since the start of last season, Cole Palmer has outperformed both Rodgers and Phil Foden in terms of goals and assists per game played in club football, with Bellingham equaling his combined total, but scoring fewer. Take a look at this graphic. As you can see, Cole Palmer with 33 goals and assists, the same amount of Jude Bellingham, but he did it in, 13 less games than Jude Bellingham, which is very, very impressive indeed. So these, out of all these players, Cole Palmer is sort of by far the most impressive by goals and assists per 90. Chelsea's Champions League game against Barcelona next Tuesday has been loosely suggested as a possible return date for Palmer. If he does not quite make that game, then they'll of course hope he'll be available for Arsenal 5 days later. Palmer has returned to the grass at Chelsea's Cobham training ground and will step up his work as long as he does not suffer any setbacks to his recovery from a groin injury that dates back to the Club World Cup. Oh my god, hopefully no setbacks. Surgery was never seriously a consideration for Palmer's groin pain, but decision was taken to allow him to recover properly rather than just managing after he was forced to come off, of course, at Old Trafford. As well as being treated by club medics, he has several number of groin specialists to get the best advice, and there is confidence that he and Chelsea will see the benefit of him returning when it really matters. Chelsea were able to manage the issue through the Club World Cup, of course, and that paid off. He scored twice and produced a man of the match performance in the final against PSG. He also won best player of the tournament as well as man of the match in the final. Just an absolute bowler. Where some players can see the possibility of failure and criticism, Palmer only sees the opportunity and chance to make an impact on the big stage. He does not worry about what will be said or written about him and is virtually oblivious to any noise outside. Well, it must be nice. Here's an interesting feature. It's been noticed inside Cobham that Palmer has spent his time wisely in the gym while he's been out injured, which has been noticeable in a change of physique. What's that? Cole Palmer's getting wham? Wham is what the kids say, right? Jacked. It was hench in my day. I mean, he's quite lean and sort of a bit lanky as a sort of physique, but it never really seemed to cause any issue. He wasn't weak. He'd press. I mean, I'd be worried that if he puts on loads of muscle, he won't be able to keep pressing for 90 minutes, which he did under Pochettino and indeed Maresca. He'd run for days and have incredible stamina, so I wouldn't want that to be like jeopardized by thinking he should put on a bit of muscle, because he doesn't need it. Like, how is it going to affect his game positively unless he's planning on becoming like a big number 9, which again is needless. Why is he doing it? Still be funny. Hench Cole Palmer. Again, there's more to the article. Go check it out if you want all the other details, but I wanted to reference a few of these things there. I think it's important. I wanted to reference that. Palmer return, huge. Let me know your thoughts on everything I've spoken about today. Remember guys, there is daily content over here on the channel, so if you are yet to subscribe, now's the time, friends. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, hype the video down here somewhere, and I hope to see you back here very soon. Take care of yourselves, enjoy the football, if there is any. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me bitch.